I'm back with another video about Pokimane. I had to take some time off just quickly because I was getting really burnt out. So that was fun, but I think I'm on the up and coming, the mend. Yeah, I spent like 4 days just like playing Project Zomboid because I needed to chill the fuck out. Oh, in good news though, guess what I heard? Guess what made the news last night? The Costco double chocolate chunk cookie is gone. Bye! Bye! You know what I said? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Double chocolate chunk cookie is gone from the Costco kitchen. Ah. Anyway, let's get right into the video. Also today, I'm wearing my Sick Sad World shirt, Daria. Shout out to anyone who likes Daria. So, to recap, we have talked about some of Pokimane's backstory, who she is, how she came up and about. We talked about the cookie fiasco, her rebrand from, I don't know, gamer girl to mentorish kind of girl's girl, I would say. We talked about her being a capitalism enjoyer, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the reasons why I personally don't like her. I think it's a trait that has conflicts in the way that she presents it. We'll get into that later. Talking about the simp dynamic, parasocialness, and how parasocial relationships kind of affect not just someone like Pokimane, but even people like Queso, a very beloved streamer who is extremely popular. And yeah, talking about the parasocial relationships I thought was pretty interesting. It was interesting to me. And today we're going to talk about Pokimane, stalkers, secret boyfriend, Pokimane potentially not being able to take criticism, copyright striking. We're going to get all into that today, and then we're going to end with a conclusion about taking in the breadth of everything that we have gone over. And I want to preface this, I don't know if I've said this before, but I don't watch Pokimane. I don't really care for her content. I don't care for what she does. She seems like a person living in the world, and I think that it's important to come at this with a different perspective because the majority of the videos that you can watch that go over Pokimane tend to be very biased, and in my opinion have a lot of very, maybe just thoughts that aren't very thought-provoking but are very uninteresting, coming from like me as a woman who hears a lot of this shit to begin with. So we'll see what my conclusion about this is. Stay tuned. So I was watching a video by some dude playing like Counter-Strike, I think, playing like a knife game. And he's just talking about like what he thinks about Pokimane, right? And in this video he talks about stalkers and how stalkers are kind of just something that comes with the territory of being a streamer, but that guys don't really have that problem and guys don't have to worry about it. So essentially saying that Pokimane's stalkers and Pokimane talking about her stalkers is kind of her fault. That's what I got from that. That is the gist of what I thought. So let's get into it.
Just watched one on stream like a month or two ago where the police had posted some body cam footage of this guy who like flew out to this female streamer's house and then he lit her car on fire when it was parked out in the driveway, and they got it all on cam. That was like kind of a big story in the community. I don't know if you guys might remember that one. And I know Amaranth has posted clips before of like her stalker showing up to her house and like trying to get in or whatever. So crazy stuff definitely does happen, and I'm not saying it's acceptable behavior. I'm not condoning these freaks, but it kind of comes with the territory when you're a female streamer, and especially when you cater to these freaks, you know what I mean? It may be very lucrative, but it's a double-edged sword when you do that, because you have to remember that some of these people are actual in real life fucking freaks.
It has been said that some guy gave all of his life savings to Pokimane, and it is claimed that she preys on these people, at least directly catering to them in some way or some manner. And I personally would love for people to tell me what exactly about Pokimane proves or is evidence that she is seeking out mentally ill, lonely people and imploring that they give her everything. Other than what was pointed out in my previous video about parasocial relationships, I don't really understand what she is doing that is so different to what any other streamer would be doing. And if anything, we've actually seen Pokimane trying to curb that, going to efforts to actually curb that. Because if the only other reason is the parasocial aspect, then, like I said, I don't see how that's any different. So if parasocial is the case, then I believe that she is getting unfairly treated, overly judged in comparison to other streamers. When it comes to the simp gives life savings thing, there is a separate incident where a man did give his savings to someone pretending to be Pokimane, a catfishing incident, sadly, and yet Pokimane is blamed for that. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I like watching catfish with my mother-in-law, and it is so funny because you'll get someone who's like, yeah, I've been in a relationship with like Katy Perry for like 20 years, but it's just the darndest thing. I've never seen her face. We never FaceTimed. Every time we FaceTime, she like drops her phone into a manhole grate, and then she can't get it back, and then I have to buy her a new phone, and it's happens all the time. It's like, okay, are we blaming Katy Perry in that instance? I don't think so. And there was an instance of a man saying he gave everything to Pokimane, becoming homeless and stuff, or that he would. Even, I don't know, it was kind of hard researching this part and actually finding something concrete, but I believe it came out that this person who was saying that was actually a troll. So, okay, are we blaming Pokimane for that too? It seems watery at best. So, as I was saying earlier, other people covering this topic have said that stalkers and people willing to ruin their lives for their perceived chance to be with you just simply comes with the territory. Male streamers apparently don't have any issues with girls or even men stalking them and becoming obsessed.
You know what I mean? Like, this stuff just doesn't really happen like this with male streamers. I feel like with male streamers, you just got your regular haters, you know what I mean? And they might do some crazy stuff or whatever, but it's a totally different level, okay? Because a hater doesn't compare to one of these lonely weirdos. So it is what it is. You know, if one day I decide I want to start the OnlyFans and then turn on the stream and get in the hot tub and pull my meat out, it might bring in some more subs, you know? But it also might bring in some people who want to suck on it. And I'm not interested in that, you know what I mean? Last thing I want is some freak pulling up talking about he wants a taste. So I think for that reason alone, I'll have to stick to playing Call of Duty.
While the treatment may differ, I think it's all the same in the end. Stalkers are dangerous and scary for anyone, and men get stalkers too. You may be a man and get people doxing you or swatting you, and there was recently the case of a streamer who actually ran over a man who was stalking him with his car. It can happen to anyone, and it does. All I'm saying is that I think a lot of guys covering the Pokimane topic have a very tunnel vision approach or idea of a lot of the themes around her and what stalking is. And while I'm sure it happens disproportionately more to women, because I think stalking is a gendered violence, we always get the short end of the stick of everything, so I'm not even fucking surprised at this point. But it happens to male public figures too. This attitude of, well, it happens, so what? Is very, like, blasé. Not all men, but a lot of the louder ones have a very uncaring attitude towards stalking situations. So when Pokimane talks about them, she's not met with much empathy, moreover just insistent that she get used to it. Or that she perhaps even deserves it? Almost saying that she agreed to this dynamic when she started streaming, which she started when she was 17. It's difficult to not look at this attitude towards her and her situations and how it might trickle down to regular women or even marginalized women who don't have resources to protect themselves, and that this attitude stalkers will see and think that this is fine. A lot of women who just live their regular life, going about their regular life, get stalkers too. My point being that stalkers need to be taken more seriously, particularly by law enforcement. Too many people have pointed out how ridiculous it is that someone can harass and threaten you and practically get away with it until they actually do something. Blaming people for having stalkers and not blaming the stalker or the society that allowed them to obviously be free to do such things should be the ones copping the blame. Obviously, deeply mentally ill people need resources and help to assist them in their time of need and to prevent them from getting to such an unhealthy point in their life. Poverty and marginalization means that women in those groups have a lack of protective mechanisms and are easy targets for abuse. So I will say, hey, at least Pokimane has the resources and can afford to have security and protective measures. I'm sure that is at least a bit of a reassurance for her. But just because she's able to have that doesn't mean her speaking up about it is wrong or selfish in any way, and if anything, it's good to be talking publicly about these issues because these are issues that do affect all kinds of women from all kinds of groups, and having someone who, like Pokimane, talking about it doesn't take that away from them, doesn't make it worse for them, in my opinion. Another interesting aspect of all of this that I never considered, but this is also disempowering to men as well. When men seek to assert their power through violence over women, they ultimately end up losing opportunities. Obviously, right? So this really lazy attitude about these issues, or it doesn't affect me, so why care, it really affects men as well. For example, someone obsessed with Pokimane who ends up getting arrested trying to get into her house means this person goes to jail potentially. They have a mark on their record, they lose their social groups, family, friends, and if they have any employment opportunities, no, they don't anymore. They have no employment options, no rehabilitation through medical intervention. This means that these people are now just stuck living with themselves and not really understanding how to get better. And I don't mean for that to sound like infantilization of these people, because they do have to have the consequences of their actions. But what if we had a society where people were able to be intervened before it got to that kind of a point? And so, if you don't care about women being stalked, then at least care about the perpetrators. If you're a man, at least care about your fellow man and making sure that he doesn't do something stupid and is able to go on in society as a regular person with protective measures. And that's why it's really sad that the prison systems focus so much on punishment and not actually trying to help people. It's really sad that in the systems of our society, there's a lot of public health that is being scrapped all over the world, as being tarnished. And all in the name of, like, I guess, lowering taxes? I don't know about you, but I would much prefer to pay extra taxes if it meant kids at school got a meal to eat, or if it meant that one less person is going to be a danger to other people, or one more drug addict gets to get help that they desperately need. Faze Lacey apparently had a girl stalking him, waiting out the front of his gated home. Brad Pitt had a woman break into his house. And according to TMZ, Logan Paul even had a male stalker who broke into his home and later, after the incident, took his own life. Could you imagine that if we had the resources to help someone like that, they probably wouldn't have done that, hopefully. Or we would have had some measures to at least try and accommodate them in a way that was safe for everyone. So you can see how even in these situations, men are affected as well in a really negative way. It's not just that, oh, women are being stalked and, like, who gives a fuck? It's like, well, women are being stalked, but who are they being stalked by? And are those people perhaps capable of having a healthy relationship in life, but they just haven't been given the opportunities and the resources to do so? A mother and her little girls went and broke into the Hype House in 2020 and trashed the place, allegedly, who knows what else. They deny doing it now, but there's some video you can look up. Make up what you will about that. Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast and their crew have been tight-lipped about a girl who was stalking them, and I'm not sure if she still is, probably is. The drama went nuclear when they found out that this girl was using one of their friends to get close to H3, dating them under the false pretense that she liked him, but was just interested in getting close to H3. This was then compounded when she was using an ex-H3 orbiter, Jimmy Lee, to try and get close to them, becoming a part of Jimmy's groupie, which was a whole big tea, a whole big drama.
Even met her, and I apologize, and I wish I never met her. And they were all mad at me when honestly nothing was done.
Hold on, Jimmy. You're not being totally forthcoming because this girl, I don't know her. None of us know her. We just know her because she somehow always gravitates to people that are close to us, close to the show, people that we care about. First, it was Gabe, and this poor, she was really. Gabe was interested in her, and he talked about her all the time, and she was just like constantly, I don't know, toying with him, leading him on or something, but then always trying to show up to our events and stuff. Mm-hmm. And she's in all of our DMs, and she's reaching out to everybody, trying to get close to us. So it's uncomfortable behavior. And we told you that, Jimmy. We told you that before this new round of photos. We told you.
So Zach mentioned to me last time I was in that she's a clout chaser. He told me that. Absolutely. You're right.
What did he tell you, Jimmy?
Told me last time I was in town. When was I here last? What is this?
So what did he...
He said she was a clout chaser and came to his show. And she don't bother with her. He did tell me that.
I think he probably said more than that.
Well, he did tell me. I'm not going to deny it.
And did you tell him last time that you were gonna?
No, she found out I was coming and she was DMing me. And I said, if you want to come hang out, come hang out. I said, find a place to stay. You're not staying at my place. And she found some friends to stay with, and she hung out with us a little on the weekend. And with my whole group of people. It was all of us. It was a whole group of people.
So why is it that we are treating this stalker, crazed fan phenomenon on just women and women being a woman existing in the world? And it genuinely is something that just happens when we exist and just go about our own business. Do you not have a problem with that? People are obviously feeling bad for these clearly deranged, messed up people, but the women are getting blamed for it somehow, and saying it merely just comes with the territory, like, oh, that's just how it works, and then in the same breath acknowledge that these people are crazy and mentally ill, scary, and insane. It's like the logic there just isn't really working for me, unfortunately. It's kind of like this attitude that, like, well, you can't do anything about it. So, damn, that sucks, I guess. And I just think that again, is why I have such a problem with so many of these people who cover topics on Pokimane, is because it seems like a lot of these people haven't actually tried to investigate their opinions or have even tried to research these ideas and these structures at all. There is no self-reflection. There is no investigation. There is no research that is done. And you know what I'm going to say that just kind of pisses me off a little bit? I mean, we're allowed to say our opinions. I'm saying my opinion. People might not agree with me. That's fine. But I just feel like sometimes we have a responsibility when we make these videos and influence people and influence people's opinions, that maybe we should look into challenging our beliefs just a little bit, you know? I think for the longest time, I wouldn't even consider the perpetrator in the instance of a stalking incident. I wouldn't even think about that. But then you think about, like, when shootings happen, and it's a white man, people always talk about, like, oh, they had such a great future ahead of them. It's so sad that this happened. Oh, God, it's just like, oh, my God. And it's like, why do people humanize people in, like, the perpetrators in that situation? But then, I guess in stalking situations, it's like, that's not really thought of. Actually, I remember when I was watching The Kardashians, Kendall Jenner had a pretty scary, like, stalking situation. I'm sure they all have, like, stalking problems, for sure. But Kendall had a really bad one, and she had to go and testify, and she had to actually, like, look this guy in the face, or she was going to be in the same room as him, and she was very, like, very nervous about that, which is, like, completely understandable. Very disturbing. But she kept talking about how she felt really bad that he was just going to go to prison, and that was it. Like, it's not like he's going to get help. It's not like anything's going to happen for him. And I believe Kim Kardashian was like, she was like talking to Kendall and like, oh, well, you know, you can't worry about other people. Like, he did this. It's his fault. Like, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, to a degree, like, I understand having that opinion, But I also think that if we continue to treat this as like just something that happens, then we don't ever look into how we could possibly potentially help people before it gets to that aspect, before it gets to that, behavior. Because a lot of the time when you're treating things, people want to treat the person after the things are done, but what if we treated people beforehand? What if we treated people when they were already exhibiting signs of, mental illness? But the truth is that we just don't have the infrastructure to support these people as it gets torn down more and more by governments and people who are voted in. And to further illustrate why I think this point is so dumb about how, like, oh, you just deserve this because you're a woman and existing. Queso. While no one is formally calling this person a stalker, I guess, I think a lot of people are very disturbed by their behavior, but it's not so different to someone obsessing over a girl like Pokimane. Queso had a top donator, or I think he still has a top donator, who gives lots and lots of bits, hoping that Queso will reach out to him. And at one point, this person donated literally 1,000 subs to Queso, and this top donator asked Queso a lot of intense and personal questions. And this donator, of course, eventually apologized and said they had no idea this behavior was weird or wrong, but it made everyone in the community very uncomfortable with them. It's not the same as the other examples, but I am trying to show you my point that you don't have to bend over and pick something up on camera to have someone obsessed with you. This idea that obsession solely comes from cavemen want woman doesn't serve us. Both men and women have stalkers. Men have stalkers, male stalkers, women who stalk them. There are a lot of lonely people in the world who seek comfort with streamers, and this obsession can grow from people who aren't even doing anything directly or intentionally to foster that. Women who simply work a customer-facing job can and do get stalkers, and you see it all the time. So I think that enough with this opinion of just like, well, you invited this to happen. Because you wouldn't say it to Logan Paul, would you? So why do people say it to Pokimane? Because she dresses nicely? Because she has cute clothes? Because of her personality? Obsessions like this come from being severely mentally ill. And that's not to say that that should be stigmatized, but just that this is not something that happens logically. This is not something that happens and we try to seek logic in it. We try to explain it, because if you can explain it, then you can perhaps avoid it. And the thing is, I don't think it's really avoidable in that aspect of like, you have to change your behaviors. It's like sexualization. I could wear pajamas all day on stream and I'll still get sexualized. It's just gonna happen. But it doesn't mean we should try and say like, oh well, there's nothing we as a society can't do. Does that make sense? I don't know if there's a way to honestly remove the parasocial element from streaming altogether, and streaming is not going away anytime soon. Does merely just existing as a woman online and being attractive to somebody mean this is what you deserve? Or that you are actively participating and taking advantage of these people? No one says a man is doing things to get these issues, yet men have these issues too. I don't think anything Brad Pitt has done in a movie or on screen at all warrants him having someone broken into his house. There's no way to say that like, oh, that's a deserved thing. It's just something that happens because people are left unattended to. So is it about the content, or is it really just a sign of the structures in our society that let it happen? Yes, stalking is a gendered violence and skews toward women being victimized by men. But basing that off what she's wearing or how she's talking versus how men are trained from a young age to assert power through violence and domination, I think it's pretty fucking obvious where the issues lie. When women get more opportunities and economic restructuring may occur, men see this as a threat to their position in their life and their identity. Women being emancipated means introducing a new class of competitors for political and economical positions. In order for a man to retain his traditional ideology of his identity, and as we struggle as a society between traditionalism and economic liberalization of women, we are subject to men's violence in their quest to retain and maintain their masculine identity and place in the world. So, a bit of topic whiplash from going to something very serious to something, in my opinion, that I think is very, very silly. So, Pokimane's secret boyfriend. Does anyone hate her because they think she has a secret boyfriend? Well, with all the simp conversation done, it kind of merges into another part of talking about her having a secret boyfriend, whether she discloses it or not, and how that affects, I guess, the opinion of Pokimane and perhaps her audience's opinion of her. I'm sorry, but once again, people online don't need to disclose their personal life if they don't want to. Yes, it's true that someone like Amaranth, who did basically softcore porn on Twitch, in my opinion, had an understanding in her relationship that it was better to financially not let people know about her husband Nick. Honestly, we were better off not knowing about Nick just because I feel like every time I've seen his streams, I lose 20 gazillion brain cells. I probably have no brain cells left after watching Nick. Guys, do not watch Nick. Do not do it. Amaranth, you should have kept him quiet in the closet. Amaranth, who, in my opinion, was far more egregiously siphoning her viewers' money through the parasocial aspect of streaming. Yes, we can argue who does it more or less, and I would say Amaranth is probably an example of someone who was doing it to a pretty egregious amount. Literally writing people's names on her body, making content specifically for them to self-gratify with. She was not that much different to a cam girl, in my opinion. It's odd to me that people think Pokimane keeping her dating life a secret means she's just trying to farm simp coins, and that she would have no fans left afterwards if she did have one. And I'm just like, where on earth does Pokimane make a promise that she's gonna date a fan or start a relationship with an audience member? In fact, I think she's actually said quite the opposite many, many times. But it's that age-old thing where people just do not hear no and take that as an answer. I feel like you have to be genuinely stupid to actually think a streamer would date one of their audience members. Or at least not in the current year. Maybe back in the day when it was like PewDiePie up and coming and getting like a letter from his now wife Marzia. Like, I think the landscape back then was a lot different. What we know about these aspects is very, very different. It's changed. And people are more aware of like how this stuff kind of works. And, you know, I think there's probably some people who, yeah, maybe they have dated or do date fans. And some people, maybe it's really hard for them to not come across fans, you know? So, I guess there's like some nuance to it. But I feel like someone like Pokimane, who has outwardly said she wouldn't date an audience member, yeah, there you go, you know? I feel like if she's outward saying it, what's the problem? And again, people act like Pokimane is the only famous streamer who gets big donations and frequent gifts. If you sit in any big streamer's chat, you'll see big donations and gifted subs. And like I said before, Queso gets them too. Although, I get it, Queso is a little cutie pie. But also at the same time, you have people who are upset thinking that Queso might have a girlfriend. I have seen people saying, oh, does Queso have a girlfriend? I'm really upset because I really like him. I've seen people talking about that. People say that about Queso. I don't know why I'm bringing up Queso so much, but I guess he's just another really big streamer that I'm actually probably more familiar with than Pokimane, to be honest. It's like, you can't go wrong with Queso. He's a lovely person, he's very sweet, he is very humble, I would say, and so a lot of people like him. He's a very likable guy, but his issues aren't really so far from what Pokimane's been experiencing, right? Although I think the difference is, you can tell Queso's not out of touch. And I think that's a really big, I know I said it in the last video, I know, but you can tell that there's like, I think that's like a big part of the divide, is like how in touch you are with the people. And Queso is very in touch with the people. So, can't take criticism. This is another thing that I think people really don't like Pokimane. It's one of those things where I can kind of see, if you're keyed into the drama when it first happened, you probably have held this opinion for a very, very long time. And yeah, like I can see it. But to get into it, this is something that I think is a really, really bad character trait to have. And particularly if you're a content creator, this does not go down very well. Take Pirate Software, for example. If you can't take criticism well, then in my opinion, I think you have the mentality of a toddler. Of course, it does depend on how you like how the criticism is given to you. I think someone like Pokimane probably receives tons of criticism all the friggin' time. It's probably very unavoidable, and a lot of the time it is probably given to you in a very not so nice manner. And as someone myself who streams making art and playing Resident Evil games very poorly sometimes, you have to learn to laugh at yourself, right? And I've made missteps with my YouTube videos here and there, done things, and I have been informed by my informal producer, made me aware of certain things that maybe I shouldn't have done, and I hear it out, I listen, and I take advice when I think I need to, and I make changes. People come into my stream, tell me what they think I should change in my drawings, and I listen and give their suggestions a shot. And I wish more people were like that, instead of being scared of being wrong and being so defensive. I think our society has a big problem, this is like a sidebar, we have a very big problem in our society where people are very scared of being wrong. And because it's kind of something that's learned in childhood, it's very hard for people to be aware of it and to actually make changes. But a lot of the time we don't realize that we actually minimize a lot of our own feelings because, you know, when we're kids and we voice our feelings, I think a lot of us can relate that our parents did not like that, and that gets kind of beaten out of you in more ways than one. And it ends up making people who try to control their image and how others see them through people-pleasing tendencies. And when someone comes to you and says, hey, you did something to hurt me, a lot of people go, that challenges my view of my character, and I'm supposed to be a good person, not a bad person. And I'm just gonna say that if you've hurt someone, it doesn't make you a bad person at all, but I think what makes you kind of shitty is when you cannot own up, when you can't reflect and sit with that discomfort. A lot of people don't have capacity for discomfort. Anyway. So it is said a lot that Pokimane copyright strikes people who go against her, and it seems there are a few cases of this in the past, some more egregious than others in my opinion. So we have commentary YouTuber BoBlax, who had his video copyright striked by Omni Media, which at the time was affiliated with Pokimane. BoBlax said he thought it was strange because he had only one clip from her and a couple of tweets, and that was about it. And then Roblox, Roblox seemed pretty convinced that it was Pokimane's doing and not the agency itself, because there were many other people who had used the same kind of content and used it without getting taken down. And they had the same visuals and editing styles according to BoBlax, so the only difference was that BoBlax's video was getting quite a lot of traction. I think it was one of his biggest moments at that point in his YouTube career, so it was probably a lot of mixed feelings. And according to BoBlax, it was also a manual strike, which is very different to the automatic ones. And the key language here, if you don't understand YouTube, is being that it was a strike and not a claim. Again, this is like a 3 strikes and you're banned type of rule here on YouTube. So copyright claims merely take the revenue from the video. You're still allowed to have your video up, but you don't get any of the money. The money goes to the person who the copyright's been infringed on. And Pokimane said that she didn't realize it would be so detrimental to BoBlax's channel, and if she knew, she would not have done it. In the end, there was a long Discord call between BoBlax, some guy named Fainted, and Pokimane. Eventually, they all actually sorted it out, and they were even laughing together at the end of the video. It all seemed pretty good and pretty fine to me. And in this specific video, I thought Pokimane seemed pretty open to how she made her errors of judgment, and she seemed pretty honest to me, and did admit that when she striked BoBlax, it was because she wanted the drama to die down. And she was honest about that.
About your reputation with the whole drama and shit.
Yeah, as I said in my response video, it was not for monetary reasons. it was really just because I wanted like that drama to die down.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's about it.
And some people were arguing
Mhm.
that it almost seems like you wanted that drama to die down, so it felt like you abused the copyright system to get what you wanted.
Again, in the moment, I was told, and I'm still told, that it was legally within my right. So
Okay,
I
cool.
didn't feel like I was trying to abuse the system
Yeah.
or do something that is like illegal. That is
Yeah, of
definitely
course.
something I don't want to do. But regardless, in hindsight, it's not something I should have done. That's why even
And
24 hours later, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's not retake it down.
of course, and in the future, if you were to
Mhm.
see a video on YouTube that you feel infringes your copyright and that you have issues against it, feeling as if it's
Mhm.
not fair use and they use your content, I'd be interested to know what kind of process you'd go through this time, having, experienced all of this and changed,
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on the situation. As I tried to clarify in my response video, the only time that I will strike a video from here on out is if it's just a re-upload of my stream and it's like content I want to utilize or content that is fully mine and like twisted to be inappropriate, like those.
Yeah.
You guys know what kind of videos I
of
mean.
course.
But
Yeah.
even those, I'm not gonna claim for a while. I'm kind of just staying away from claiming or striking or whatever for
Yeah.
quite a while. But in the future, if I ever do, I'll know for sure
Yes.
that it's 100% within my right. And I never have and never will take down a video just because it criticizes me.
She was able to recognize her fault, verbalize it, and apologize for it, which I feel like a lot of people cannot and do not do.
Excluded my apology or my stance on that incident, and you made it sound like it was something that I wasn't apologetic for at all.
Okay. Well, my viewers are always more than welcome to go and watch your full response.
It's just obviously people probably won't, because I think they just enjoy the TLDR, the summary, and whatever ends up being like sensationalized or kind of juicy to watch. And you've done a good job of making your videos pretty juicy to watch.
The dark side of Pokimane.
Oh my god. Anyways, really just upfront from human to human, I want to say like I'm here to learn and am open to criticism, etc. So whatever points you think that I can learn from, like I hope you've either gotten them out and feel good about it. If there's anything else, just let me know.
No, I think we've done a pretty good discussion here, to be honest. Unless
We
Babe
on the
likes to
same
talk a bit more.
page?
Yeah.
You don't think I'm a terrible human being / Twitch thought?
I've literally never said that. I try to
Yeah, I
reiterate
know.
in my videos, they're from like a more formal perspective. I know a lot of commentators do seem to just come at you. I've seen a load of titles on videos like Pokimane, the biggest Twitch bot, shit like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, that is kind of cheap. That is cheap.
It is what it is. I hope I just do my best in the points where like I'm actually wrong and have room to learn. I can't help being called a Twitch thought. Let's go.
Where the contention is, though, is whether Pokimane was abusing the copyright striking system or not. She maintains in this situation that she believed she was under her legal copyright, and a lot of people come to their own conclusions about this, which is fair to do. She maintained a very legal response, like very... She insisted she strike the video under the belief that she had a copyright and it was being violated. To be honest, I thought it was good of her to get in the call with these two and talk about it and admit to things. Some people might be questioning if she knew the difference between striking and claiming, and I can understand why. I think in her defense she was like, oh, I'm new to YouTube, so I don't get it. But I think this was during a time where false copyright striking was actually like becoming a really big, really pervasive issue on YouTube. So I feel like someone like Pokimane, who's probably very chronically online, as you can see any stream you watch of hers, even today, you can see that she's quite online. I feel like anyone who's a content creator is like that, and she even said that the video I watched last night, her stream last night. So I kind of find it a little bit hard to believe that she didn't understand the difference between the two. I think that, yeah, so I mean, come to your own conclusions and opinions about that. For me personally, I'm like a little bit, I don't know if I believe you. I think you're kind of trying to save face right now. So there are a few more cases. But to be honest, I don't know if Pokimane was super justified in taking the videos down. We have Leafy, who lost his entire 5.5 million subscriber channel, apparently because he had made a few too many videos about Pokimane, which in today's world of YouTube, you might be like, holy shit, some people literally make a whole career off talking about Pokimane. So it can constitute as harassment at the time because YouTube had updated their harassment guidelines, and apparently Leafy had made like upwards of like 12 videos about Pokimane, and they all got striked kind of like at once. And it's like, that's child's play for some people online today. If you get 3 strikes on YouTube, like I said, within 3 months, I think it's still the same, you get immediately banned. And I don't know if that's really Pokimane's fault, more over just bad luck or poor behavior mixed with unfortunate timing of the TOS changes. I don't know if that's anything Pokimane had a finger in. You know what I'm saying? Apparently Leafy also used his community to harass and bully other people. So I think that's also kind of a big deal that people kind of leave out of the equation. I feel like that's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't be allowing that to happen. I feel like no one really misses this guy. I feel like people just miss this time on YouTube. I don't think people really care for, like, Leafy coming back. Anyone who's actually grown up and matured doesn't care for that. So some people have said perhaps Leafy should be unbanned now because it seems that YouTube's guidelines on harassment aren't quite the same anymore. And I think personally that the difference is that people don't go rallying their communities to make others feel unsafe on the platform. It's kind of like how Reddit doesn't allow for communities to harass like really bad like snark pages. I mean, like you'd think. Some of them seem to be fine with, but for the most part, if you have a community and you word things in a certain type of way, you could have your community banned. And so I feel like a lot of the way that people get around having like a snark, like a quote unquote, it's like undisclosed snark community, is that they change their wording, they change the way they refer to people, they play with the language to skirt around the guidelines. And I feel like that's kind of how people do it on YouTube. People will make like, I'll make a video about this and I'll be like, hey guys, don't harass Pokimane, don't do this, don't do that. And I do mean it, but I feel like sometimes some people, when they say it, I feel like they're just saying it to say it and they don't really fucking care about it. That's just what I think. Don't make people feel unsafe on the platform, guys. We're here to have a nuanced conversation about someone who is apparently very, very controversial. So, Gideon got banned on Twitch for saying, not saying something, for 48 hours for breaking the Twitch TOS for hate raiding Pokimane. And Pokimane made a video reacting to the ban, or there was a clip of her stream reacting to it. And she was basically alluding to, like, oh, if this brand goes into my emails and my DMs, it's on site. It's on site. Or she was like, yeah, basically if the Twitch platform didn't take it more seriously, she would be turning her business elsewhere, I think is how it went down. And then it turned into a permanent ban, so it's a little bit like, oh, yikes. The timing on that does not look good. So yeah, I think that in this case, Gideon having like a temporary suspension totally makes sense to me, but a permanent ban when it was his first mistake, like, probably give him another chance, eh? Like, I don't know, I find that kind of weird, but I guess you have to take into account, like, was he aware at the time that he was breaking the rules? Because I think it's very different if you're going like, yeah, I'm gonna break the rules right now, haha, let's go guys, oh, temporary ban, oops. I think that should get you a permanent ban, and that will apply to Pokimane further down below. Let me continue. Which is definitely very lenient with other people who do multiple TOS violations in a frickin' week. And so we all been knowing, they apply their rules so inconsistently, it's ridiculous. So this is a situation where it seems like Pokimane and the business she brings to the platform probably did influence Twitch's decision making, which is shitty and it sucks that it went down like that. And I'm sure Twitch people don't want to have to explain in a boardroom why they lost a chunk of their business because one of their biggest streamers left. But also, has Twitch ever been profitable? Like, ever? Is that really big of a deal if Pokimane leaves and goes to YouTube or something? I feel like Twitch had a lot of streamers exodus to YouTube and then they just came back. I don't know, man. It seems like it doesn't fucking matter. So, another YouTuber, It's a Gundam, also had a video about Pokimane taken down, and there's a big debate over whether Pokimane went after his sponsorship or not. Pokimane had reacted to his video saying that if the person sponsoring him were ever in her DMs, oh yeah, this is what I was getting confused with before, she wouldn't work with that sponsor ever. And then It's a Gundam reported that he was in the works or hoping to work with a big gaming company to do a sponsored video, and then that fell through after that whole debacle. And I guess because Pokimane has copyright striked people in the past in a seemingly vindictive manner, it doesn't seem like a stretch to privately go after people's sponsorships, perhaps, but to me, this claim still doesn't seem built on much evidence. It could be that the sponsor didn't want to work with someone who has probably done other things in the past that were kind of unseemingly, unbecoming of someone to work with said company. Or perhaps things said in the Pokimane video. Apparently the video wasn't even about Pokimane that much and just about making fun of her fans. Even making fun of someone's weight, someone who took a picture with Pokimane. And I can see why a gaming company maybe wouldn't want to work with somebody like that. But just because a deal was maybe perhaps potentially possibly in the works, and we just gotta take his word for it, it seems watery to me. So, to end this section, it seems that Pokimane was earnest in her call with Boblax and Fainted about changing how she would issue copyright strikes, and actually strike people who did wholesale uploads. And what can I say? There are so many Pokimane hate videos up that even I got recommended while writing this. And I can't say that she didn't change. I think this Pokimane hate machine is proof enough of that. And I knew people would joke and warn about my video getting taken down or striked well before I even finished writing the script, because I saw the same fucking meme in everyone else's videos. But understandably, when talking about copyright, people criticized Pokimane for getting up and leaving videos running while doing something else away from her stream. Copyright infringement seems to be something that is all for me, but not for thee. I think I'm using that right? I don't know. At least Pokimane can issue the strikes, but when it comes to her, I can do what I want. That's not a good feeling. A lot of people don't like that. And that's something that I'm like, you know what, I can respect having that opinion, okay? And I think it's particularly bad when it was like the watch party meta that sweeped Twitch a few years ago, where Pokimane was temporarily banned for streaming entire episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm like, how the hell are we doing this thing where we're like, I'm within my copyright to strike you for including my clips, and then be like, oh yeah, but you know what, fuck it, let's watch fucking the Kardashians for 10 hours on stream, haha. It's like, I don't know, man. Some people sort of defended this by saying that it was just like, oh, it's what everyone was doing at the time. We're just pushing the boundaries. Girl, I don't think you're pushing the boundaries. The boundaries are already set. I personally would also say, have some fucking principles, dude. If you're gonna be like, oh, I'm all about copyright and, oh, I just didn't understand the system and, oh, It seems to me that she was very well understood of the systems when it came to her content, but then suddenly when it comes to other people's, like, I feel like everyone who engaged in that meta knew very full well that they were infringing on copyright. This is not a React thing. This is wholesale just watching completely in its entirety, restreaming stuff. And you know, Kick actually has a problem with this as well. We have tons of channels on Kick that just stream entire Family Guy episodes. I don't know how people keep like doing this. I think it's one of those cases where it's just so many people are doing it, they can just kind of get away with it for a little bit. So yeah, this copyright stuff is my personal beef. I don't understand how you can be so obsessed about people stealing your shit and then do the same exact thing. Like, what? Is it okay because it's a media studio and suddenly it's fine? So you get to be the judge of which is and isn't okay to infringe on? I don't like that. So if you're gonna ask me what I don't like about Pokimane, that's a big fucking problem to me. I mean, maybe she's changed her ways now, but to be completely honest, I think that with the copyright stuff, I think she was old enough to understand, and I think she was just doing a little cheeky, like, I can get away with this. And I don't like that. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I don't like that. Yeah. So, to conclude this series trying to find out why everyone hates Pokimane so much, it feels pretty clear to me. And this attitude isn't necessarily unique to Pokimane, although she gets a lot of it. But the cycle of saying something on stream, having it clipped, people seeing it on their feed, and making their mind up about it, happens to a lot of people. And recently, with the whole David situation, the musician who allegedly murdered a little girl, a minor, and someone who he groomed, in my opinion, Pokimane said a few things about it on stream because David had been to her house, she had spent time with him, and been introduced to quite a few people because of him. She was in a music video as well with him, I think. So in her stream, she was talking about how she felt uncomfortable. She was thinking about being in such close proximity with an alleged murdering pedophile. Also, I'm saying alleged just because, like, I have to be careful with my wording, okay? Like, don't think that I'm, like, in any way being like, I don't know, because I'm not. Personally, I do believe that he did all that shit, but that's not the point here. He's bad. We don't like him. Anyway, so people clipped Pokey talking about that, and of course anyone who saw the clip just went, wow, she's making it all about herself. Who's surprised? But the context for this whole bit was in relation to her stream being just a general catch-up with her community and her fans. Pokey had taken time away from her streaming due to a lot of things going on in her life. She talked about how she found out Sykkuno was a big phony baloney, and yes, she wasn't a victim in anything in that, but it still is going to affect her. That's fine. That's okay. Pokey had her manager quit due to a family emergency, then she had to try and get a temporary manager who then Pokey alludes to fleeing America potentially because of a debt collector contacting her team and asking about the temporary manager. Something very weird that happened there. I'm not really sure I understood it too much. The temporary manager apparently lied or endowed their relationship with other streamers they had worked with to try and get Pokimane to work with them. That was like kind of alleged there, I think, and that was kind of interesting. Pokey was kind of talking about struggling with like everyone feels like they're deception maxing me. Yeah, anyway. And then Pokey talked about a man who was following her on her walk out in the neighborhood who tried to give her his phone number and then she refused and he kept like kind of following her. Yeah, so the first hour of this stream, and I watched it last night, the very first hour was just her talking about her feelings and what's going on with her in her life, and it makes sense to me that someone would do that with their community. She was expressing how she feels better when she's able to speak her thoughts and feelings, but she is fearful of how it gets clipped, which is pretty ironic because that is exactly what happened with the David stuff.
Yeah, you know? One of those things was obviously all the news that's come out about David. And honestly, I was trying kind of not to talk about it. I don't know if you guys have seen the details, but it is just, sorry, like D4VD, the artist. Even talking about it right now just makes me nervous and have like a pit in my stomach. I don't know if you guys have seen much of the details and stuff, but it's so gruesome and horrific. And I think just constantly reading those headlines was really getting to me. Like, I was getting nightmares about it and just thinking like, this arrested murderer, pedophile was someone who was in my home, who connected me with so many other people. We have so many mutuals. And it's scary that like no one suspected anything like that. And also, understandably so, people are like dissecting his videos and lyrics and all this stuff. And since he had me in one of his music videos, I was like, does that mean anything? And you know, like, just, it was really kind of getting to me.
And anyone who was like hate watching her would have seen that and still done it. To me personally, I don't feel like she was making the David situation about her. I think she has every right to have some weird feelings about it. I mean, come on. If you met someone who's literally a murderer and a pedophile, allegedly, you would be rethinking a lot of things too. Compounded by the Sykkuno situation, Poki also mentioned revisiting certain conversations with him where she realized he had been lying to her. For people to make that clip and have people be like, heh, how can I make it all about me? Heh, upvote this. It's just dumb to me. And like the internet is just so much of this like dumbness. I understand wanting to tell your community about what is on your mind. And I understand some people thinking maybe this is just a conversation to have with your therapist. But Pokimane is a public figure who had a public relationship, or rather connection, to David. I feel like her talking about it is not disrespectful or bad. So I guess I just think that, yeah, Pokimane's kind of just experiencing what pretty much all streamers, I guess, experience at some point or another. Which is not to say, like, oh, Pokimane deserves special treatment, but perhaps it would be nice if this didn't happen as often. But headlines get headlines, upvotes, clicks. Yeah, this is what the internet is today. Yeah. So, as I was saying about conclusions here, I don't care if you like or dislike Poki. Looking back on the content I've made here, she had a bad cookie launch, she didn't make a good comment/joke, that came off as very out of touch, Richie Rich, and talking about a revolution happening while you're on a France vacation buying luxury items and flaunting them around, it's a terrible look, I think. And if you want to be someone who is indulging in material possessions, I feel like you should just you just own it. Just own it. Try not to offset it by doing like, don't worry, I got this for you too. And doing like giveaways or preaching about eat the rich, eat the rich. Like, shut the fuck up. I would call her the woman version of Hassan, but I will give Poki credit and say she is a lot more digestible as a streamer to watch than Hassan. Speaking of Hassan, I hope my makeup today doesn't make me look like a fap material e-girl.
Look at me, I'm an emo girl, and I change my politics all the fucking time. Ooh, look at me. As an emo girl, I look like that one meme on the internet. 4chan guys who are now 38 years old want to fap to me. Fuck.
Sexist pig. Sorry, that was like, sorry, I just got really mad there for a second. Oh my god, I don't understand why people like Hassan. What I do respect about Poki is that pretty early on in her streaming career, like late 2020, I think that's kind of early. That's probably where she was like peaking. Well, it was a bit after the peak. Still, she limited the donations she could receive. I think that's a pretty cool thing to do. And as far as I can tell, I do think she sticks to her word. She doesn't have a subscriber goal after criticizing people who do. And I have to say, I kind of agree with her. People who have a subscriber goal after they've reached a certain threshold, at what point does the line kind of begin and become kind of cringe? Or not even just cringe, but a little bit like, ugh. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's definitely some streamers I look at and I'm like, why do you have a subscriber goal? Like, maybe the community, maybe if you want like a community goal, it should be something different. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I happen to agree with Pokimane with that. And she also follows her own viewpoint there. So it's like, credit where credit's due, guys. I think Pokimane was genuine when she vowed to not copyright strike or claim people who were just critiquing her. And the evidence is literally all over YouTube. If you're watching this video right here, I hope you got to this point. Thank you, thank you. There's probably others in the sidebar right now. Actually, the sidebar is probably on this one. Yeah. Is there a video on this side that says something about, like, the downfall of Pokimane? And it's, like, a picture of Pokimane's face just, like, all crinkly and rusty. I think those thumbnails are hilarious. Now, if you're gonna say she can't take criticism or apologize well, I will say her apology for the cookie fiasco wasn't that great in my opinion. Again, explaining that your comment about being a brokey was meant for one person, but in the context of it, the shipping, the cost, it's all an issue that is going to affect a lot more than one person. And if a lot of people got offended by it, people aren't just going to magically be unoffended because you said, well, it wasn't meant for you. Like, okay. Okay, you do realize you're talking to, like, a whole community. Like, you're not talking to one chatter, you're talking to everybody. I'm sorry. And even then, the situation isn't something that affects just one person. So it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters if it was meant for one person or not. Sincerely. I feel like it's kind of like leftist people saying, like, the R word is bad, but it's okay to use if it's someone I don't like. Does that make sense? I feel like it doesn't make sense. Another thing with the copyright claiming thing that I will say is that it's possible that it's not really something that she decided on, but rather copyright striking and I think copyright claiming has, I think, improved. I wouldn't know personally because I only started YouTube like in the past like couple of years or something, so I'm not sure what that's like. Actually, I will say, I did have two of my iDubbbz videos actually got restricted. Yeah, they got restricted and apparently I hadn't rated my video correctly and I actually disputed it. And both of them went back to being monetized, but I was like, oh my god. That felt so shitty because I was so certain that I'd done all the right things with that. But that's something completely different. That was something completely different. But I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say that I think she has changed and that she's different with it now. So I think that's like a fine thing to give her credit for. I don't think that's terrible. I don't know, it's like it's starting to seem like there isn't really a whole lot of reasons to dislike her other than like you just don't like her personality, which is like, I get that. There's people that a lot of people love that I'm like, they're annoying. It's so annoying. I get it. So yeah, to end the video there, I guess, formally, if you don't like her because you don't like her veneer, her personality, the way that she talks, I will say, watching one of her streams last night, it's like, when you watch people, there's like a certain, like, you can tell that there's like a mask happening, and it's like, with Pokimane, it's like you can see that there's this desire to try and be like relatable of the people, but the problem for me is that I just like, I'm not convinced by it, and so I find that off-putting personally. I've talked about that before. And like I said, I understand when people just don't like someone's personality, but I think that kind of makes you headed towards a bias against someone, and it causes people to not really think too much about their opinions. It's like, oh, I always didn't like this person, but now it comes out that they're like, I don't know, this or that. Holy moly, yeah, I feel vindicated. Right? And I think that kind of happens with Pokimane. There's a lot of people looking for reasons to not like her or to like justify it. And it's like, I don't think you really need to justify it, but I also think that a lot of people haven't really thought too deeply about why they have these opinions about her. And I think that through everything that I've done with this series, I think that what I don't like about Pokimane, the opinion that I have come to personally from doing my own research, from looking into I think this covers like all the big stuff, to be honest. Let me know actually in the comments if I missed anything. But I think like given like the copywriting stuff, I think that's probably like the worst. That's probably like the worst part of it, if I'm being honest. Maybe like the cookie fiasco and like the capitalism stuff. I really, really don't like someone who is like, oh, I'm like, you know, eat the rich, ha 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 ha, but only the billionaires because us millionaires, oh, it's fine. Like, everything about that is just so, like, uncomfortable to watch, or it's just, like, it gets to a point where we kind of feel like we're being talked down to a little bit, and it's like, well, it's easy for you to say, I guess. I mean, Jesus. So, I don't know, it's like, yeah, I can understand people really not liking her for those reasons, because I feel like a lot of people don't like Hassan for the exact same stuff, and, yeah, so I just think that, yeah, if you don't like her because of, like, the way that she acts, fair enough, but maybe don't just be like, oh, well, I actually don't like her because, I think it's fine to just be like, yeah, I just can't stand her, you know, I think that's fine, but don't go around perpetuating weird, like, misogynistic things just because you don't like the way her voice sounds, or that she wears makeup. Like, it just comes off as, like, you don't actually have it comes off worse, I think. Yeah, because I know a lot of people in society will be like, just not liking someone just because of the way they look. It's not very nice. It's like, yeah, it's not nice, but as humans, we are kind of judgy. People have said they don't like me because my accent is grating. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. But I also understand it completely. So, I don't know. It's kind of like, yeah, come to your own conclusion about it. I feel like I have done a satisfactory investigation to this, and I think that I'm not too... It's so conflicting because I feel like her content, especially her TikTok stuff, I feel like it appeals to me so much as like a woman. So it's hard to say that like, oh, I'm never gonna watch her TikToks and stuff. Guys, if you like the video, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Bye.